Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. With your hosts, Drew and Daniella. Take our hands and let's walk this journey together.
Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of the Meaningful Hearts podcast. You're getting me for the second week in a row. I apologize for those of you who are missing Drew. I miss him too. But sometimes schedules just don't align and things happen that we don't necessarily expect. And I think I mentioned this last episode. What's important to us is that we find a way to continuing showing up for you guys, even if that means that we can't necessarily do it together. But hopefully we will be back together soon. In the meantime, like I've done so several times on this show, I want to talk about an experience that I've had recently and ultimately how it's led me to reflect and what I've learned, and ultimately how we, or I guess in this moment, can encourage you all to think about and reflect as well. So what I've been thinking a lot about is the way that energy affects us, and more specifically, the way that other people's energy affects us. And this came as a result of a recent trip that I went on with some friends. And to make it, I guess, long story short, and to save the nitty gritty of it, it wasn't until I got home from the trip that I realized just how tired I was. I was mentally and exhaustively drained. There was a lot that happened in the trip. Somehow we ended up missing our flight, and so we ended up having to stay extra time. And there was a lot of uncomfortable conversations. There was a lot of conflict. And even though we were able to work through it, it didn't change the fact that it was very tiring. And on top of the conflicts that I was having with that, not I, but that we were having in the group, I was also experiencing internal conflict. You know, I like to think that I, in some ways, am pretty chill. I'm very good with the flow. You know, I'm not like, oh my God, we need to get A, B, C, D, and E done by this time. But especially on vacation, there are times where I'm like, okay, we need to be mindful of just how much time we have, because there are certain things that we want to do. And so I was caught between being go with the flow and being a responsible one. And I guess what ended up happening was that I ended up feeling like I was just a strict parent who was just reinforcing the rules. And I didn't like that feeling. And so those feelings combined with the conflicts, it ended up being a lot. And I honestly didn't realize it until, like I said, I got home. And I've been quite tired since then. And I got back Wednesday of this week. Today's Sunday here. So, yeah. It's been a few days and I've been very tired. And so it got me thinking. I think it's important to reflect on and be aware of how other people's energies affect us. And it's interesting that I'm talking about this because I'd like to believe that I've become really good at setting emotional boundaries between myself and my clients. In the beginning, I would go home and I would find myself still thinking about my clients and what they were experiencing. And it's not that I don't think about that now. I still do, but it doesn't affect me as much. And it's not that I don't care about them. I just know that what I've learned about myself ultimately means that if I take those things home with me, that it's going to be very tiring and I am going to burn out. And so I'm present with them when I'm there, and I help them to the best of my ability. But when I go home, those feelings and that energy, I'm very mindful to leave that in the room. I've also recently realized that I'm not an anxious person. I can't really relate to the what ifs that anxiety causes us to have. I mean, I have it sometimes, but not to the extent of some of my clients or even some people that I know in my personal life. And so I can't really relate to it. But I try. And of course, I seek consultation and I take the right measures when I'm struggling. I don't just say I don't understand this and call it a day. I do try. But what I can relate to is depressive symptoms. At one point in my life, I was actually diagnosed with clinical depression. And I think what comes along with that is feeling things very deeply, especially the negative feelings. I feel it so heavy. I become tired. I'm even tired talking about this now. But again, I'm using it as an opportunity to reflect for myself and also to encourage you guys. But that's what I've experienced when I experienced depressive symptoms. And I know that's the case for with brain fart. I know that's the case for individuals who experience depression. Is that the feeling doesn't seem to be able to go away. And it's heavy, like a dark cloud looming over you. And it just, no matter what you do, just doesn't go away. And so that I can relate to. And I think I'm a little bit off track, but still on the same topic, because essentially what it comes down to is how I'm affected by the people around me. And because I feel things very deeply, I'm not always aware of just how strongly other people, especially people that I care about, influence me. Like I said, I've become really good at setting that emotional boundary with clients, not because I don't care about them, but because if I take it home, that's definitely very tough. But I guess I didn't necessarily expect it to be that way with friends. And I care and I love my friends. Sometimes personalities clash, and that's bound to happen in friendships. And trying to help, trying to mitigate. I don't know if mitigate is the right word. Maybe mediate is a better word. Trying to mediate and be level headed and be reasonable. I didn't realize just how much that can take out of you. And I guess that's ultimately what I would like to encourage all of you to think about is how are the people around you affecting your energy? And what is that like? How long can you be around your friends before you start feeling like, damn, this is a lot? Because in being completely honest, there were parts of me that felt that. Energy is a very contagious thing. And I think that the more in tune you are with your emotions and the way that you feel, the more in tune you can learn to be about the energy that is around you. That's what I'm learning, at least. And I honestly don't know how long it's going to take me to recover, but I know that I will. And I think in the process, it is about being compassionate towards myself and saying, you know what? It's okay that that took all that energy out of you. And it's okay that you're taking a little while to recover. It happens. And if you've ever been in a situation in your life where the energy around you just gets the best of you, and I would say more so when we're feeling angry, because I know when there's something happening and there's a heated argument, there's a heated discussion, the more that the other person gets riled up, the more that you get riled up. On average, at least. If you're good at that, good for you. Please let me know the tactics that you use, because I would love to be able to share it here and with my clients as well. In any case, before I go on rambling too much, that's what I will leave you all with. To think about the way that other people affect you, whether that's at work, whether that's your personal life, your friends, your family, significant other if you have one. What is that like? And what does that mean to you? And with that, hopefully, Drew and I can be together again for another conversation on our show. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.